My name is Alfredo Salmon Mujage from Edukea Tanzania. Welcome in this session to proceed with our Form 5 third topic, History, which is the people of African origin in the New World. And as you remember, on the last session we ended on the challenges that faced the Back to African movement. The movement that were established by Marcus Garvey to liberate the black people in the New World to turn back in Africa. So today we are going to see another movement which was formed as the movement to liberate the black people in the New World. And that movement was called the Pan-Africanism, or the Pan-African movement, or in another name we can call it Black Solidarity. Black Solidarity. And this fall in the third topic. It falls in the third topic. So we are going to see the definition of Pan-Africanism movement, objectives, achievements, and challenges. Pan-Africanism refers to the desire for African unity that tries to cultivate the spirit of brotherhood among the black people in the New World. To me, that Pan-Africanism refers to the desire of African unity that tries to cultivate or to bring up the spirit of brotherhood among the black people in the New World. Pan-Africanism originated in America and the Caribbean islands in the early of 20th century. It means that the Pan-Africanism movement originated in America and the islands of Caribbean in the early of 20th century. The movement was formed by the black people initially to stop slave trade. It means that the movement or Pan-Africanism movement was formed by the black people in the New World in order to end up or to stop slave trade. It means initially it was formed with the aim of stopping slave trade in the New World. Pan-Africanism was founded by Braden, and later on it was actuated by William Sylvester, who convened the first Pan-Africanist conference. These were the few representatives from Africa, but the majority came from America. It means that the Pan-Africanism or Black Solidarity was formed or represented by various majority, but the few of them was, firstly it was founded by Braden, that was the founder of the movement, and later it was led by William Sylvester, who convened the first Pan-Africanist conference. And this we can see thus we are representatives from Africa. It means these were black people. Braden and William Sylvester were people from Africa or with African origin, but the majority came from America and the others were from America. Aims of Pan-Africanism. Let us see the aims of Pan-Africanism. The first aim was the movement aimed at bringing unity and solidarity among the people of African origin. It means that the aim of Pan-Africanism was at bringing the unity and solidarity among the people of African origin in the New World. As we know that unity was an important ingredient or important factor in the struggle to regain the fundamental rights of blacks in the New World. So that's why the Pan-Africanism or Black Solidarity was formed in order to enhance and bring up the important ingredient, so-called unity, to unite the all Africans or black people in the New World in order to fight or to struggle for their fundamental rights. Another aim of the movement aimed at fighting against colonialism in Africa and ensure that Africans are given their self-rule. To me, that the Pan-Africanism movement aimed at fighting against colonialism in Africa and ensure that the Africans have the self-rule or attaining the self-rule. The Africans were subjected to colonial rule for a long period where they were exposed to all sorts of exploitation and the oppression. It means that for a long time African people were subjected to colonial rule. It means that the white people were dominating the Africans. So the aim of forming that movement was liberating the Africans to fight against colonialism and to attain the self-rule or their freedom in order to escape from all sorts of exploitation and oppression. That was the aim number 2. The third one was rise consciousness of the black people towards elimination of their inferiority complex, which would restore respect and freedom to black people. It means that another aim was to raise consciousness of the black people, to raise the consciousness and the awareness of the black people towards the elimination of removal of inferiority complex in the mind of the blacks, in order to restore, or which could help to restore their respect and the freedom. The supporters of the movement claim that the formation of strong state will lead to the elevation of the African race. It means that the founders of the support of the Pan-African movement was claiming that we are supposing that the formation of that unit or African unit among the black people in the New Age and Africa at large will lead them to elevate or to push up the race of Africans or the black color of the people. It means their race will be pushed up and to be respected by the other colors in the world. So that was another aim of Pan-Africanism movement or black solidarity. But another was the movement wanted to liberate Africans from slave trade and slavery. It means that the Pan-Africanism movement or the black solidarity was aimed at liberating the Africans from slave trade and slavery. Under slavery, the people of African origin were subjected to all evils. It means during slave trade or slavery, all people from Africa or the people of African origin were subjected to all evils. They were denied the right to education, right to freedom of expression, right to marry and to be married, right to own the property, right to vote or to be voted. So these were the rights or fundamental rights which were denied to the Africans. So you can see that the movement was aiming at liberating the Africans or the people of African origin from the slave trade and the slavery. Another aim or objective was the movement also wanted to regain the fundamental rights of the people of African origin. They were denied right to education, right to freedom of expression, right to marry, and as well as the right of owning the properties. It means that their fundamental rights were lost. So another aim was to regain those fundamental rights, means to restore the lost rights which were denied by the whites or the Africans. Another one was raise consciousness of the black people toward the formation of the United States of Africa, or USA, United States of Africa, which would have restored respect and freedom to the black people. To mean that another aim was raising the consciousness of black people towards the formation of United States of Africa, which would restore respect and the freedom and respect to the black people in the New World. The supporters of the movement claimed that the formation of strong African states or the United States of Africa will lead to the elevation of the African race. And the last one was the movement aimed at empowering the black people economically by establishing economic ventures and creating employment opportunities for the millions of people of African origin that were living in poverty. It means that the Pan-Africanism was aiming at empowering the black people in the New World by establishing economic ventures and creating the employment opportunities to the black Africans who had no jobs in the New World, so that they can liberate themselves from poverty or living under poor living conditions. So these were the aims or objectives of forming Pan-Africanism or black solidarity. Let us see the contribution of Pan-Africanism to the rise of African nationalism. What were the contribution of Pan-Africanism to the rise of African nationalism? The Pan-Africanist movement united all Africans from all walks of life to oppose colonialism. It means that the Pan-Africanist movement united all Africans to fight or to go against the colonialism. It means that all Africans were united in order to fight against all forms of colonialism. The common desire for independence was a unifying factor that terminated tribal interests by uniting all Africans. It became easy to oppose colonial rule. It means that the common desire for independence was a unifying factor. It means what? To unify or to unite all Africans, regardless of their tribe, language, their religions, and whatever, so as to be easy or to be simple for them to terminate all forms of colonial rule. So that was the first number one, or the first contribution of Pan-Africanism movement to the rise of African nationalism. The second one was the movement provided a forum or a platform where Africans could discuss the grievances caused by the colonialism in all the congresses of the movements. It means that the Pan-Africanism movement provided a forum or platform whereby the Africans could discuss the grievances caused by colonialism in all congresses of the movements. Means during the meeting or conferences which were taking place under the members of that Pan-Africanist movement were discussing their grievances and the fundamental rights which are denied by the whites in the New World. So that was just like a great forum or a great platform for the Africans to discuss their issues and matters which are concerning with them. The people of African origin discussed about implementing the spirit of oneness among all the black people all over the world. It means that during the conference or meetings which were conducted concerning with Pan-Africanism movements, we are aiming at discussing the implementation of the spirit of oneness or unity of all peoples of African origin all over the world. And another contribution was the movement awakened the interest of the Africans to fight for independence. It means that the movement awakened or rising or lost the interest of the Africans to fight for independence. During the conferences of the Pan-African movement, members discussed a wide range of issues such as racial discrimination, unfair taxation policies, and the land alienation which they were facing under colonial rule. So, during the conference which were held by the Pan-Africanist movement, it means that they were discussing in a large extent about the issues that were facing them, like racial discrimination, land alienation, as well as unfair taxation policies which were introduced by the colonialists in their countries. So that was another contribution of Pan-Africanism to the rise of African nationalism. But another one was the Pan-Africanism movement played a big role in the rise of African nationalism because it is stressed that the fight for political independence by the Africans was a necessary step towards the complete economic and social emancipation. It means that the Pan-Africanism movement played a big role in the rise of African nationalism because it is stressed that, or it explained that the fight for political independence by the Africans was necessary a step towards to the liberation or emancipation of economic and social aspects of the Africans. So that's why the Africans decided to cooperate together and unite as the one to fight against the colonial rule, and thus the rise of African nationalism and the result of the actions of Pan-Africanism movement. Another was the Pan-African Congress chose total liberation in their struggle for independence from Manchester. It means that the Pan-African Congress chose total liberation in their struggle for independence from Manchester. The activities of the movement were shifted to Africa following the independence of Ghana in 1957. The capital city of Ghana, Accra, became the headquarters of Pan-Africanism, where Kwame Nkrumah spearheaded the independence of many African countries. It means that the independence struggle was originated from Manchester Conference that was held by the Pan-Africanists, and the activities of the movement was shifted from Manchester to Africa, whereby Ghana acted as the headquarters of Pan-Africanism, and that was followed by the independence of Ghana in 1957, whereby the Kwame Nkrumah became the head of the independence, or was the head of independence struggles in many countries, including Tanganyika. Tanganyika was assisted at large extent by Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana. So you can see that the support of the independence of Ghana in 1957 contributed much to the rise of African nationalism in other countries in Africa. So that was another contribution of Pan-Africanism to the rise of African nationalism. But the last one was the movement represented the African continent in the international conferences, especially in the United Nations, wanted to ensure that all countries attain independence through the peaceful means. It means that the movement also represented the African continent in the international conferences, especially the United Nations conferences. It means that the African leaders who were represented their countries were raising the issues concerning with their countries demanding that their country are ready to get or to attain their independence. So the United Nations were responsible to force the colonialists or colonial masters to grant independence to the African countries in order to attain the self-rules. And that's why there are some countries in Africa attain their independence through peaceful means, including Tanzania, Uganda, and the other countries. So that's how Pan-Africanism or Pan-Africanist movement led to the rise of African nationalism. So these were the contributions of Pan-Africanism movement to the rise of African nationalism. So after there, let us see the development of Pan-Africanism. How Pan-Africanism was developed. The development of Pan-Africanism took place through summoning or holding various conferences in various countries of Europe. These conferences aimed at uniting people of African origin all over the world. It means that the development of Pan-Africanism took place through summoning or holding or calling various conferences in various countries of Europe. So these conferences aiming at uniting all people, all black people in the world. These conferences included the following, means the conferences which were held with the aim of uniting the people of African origin in the world. The first conference was the Pan-African Congress that took place in London in 1900. The Pan-African Congress that took place in London in 1900. That was the conference aimed at uniting the peoples of African origin in the world. This was the first conference which took place in London. The meeting was summoned by Henry Sylvester William from the West Indies. It means that this was the first conference that took place in London, and the meeting was summoned by the Sylvester William, the founder or the leader who led or represented the black solidarity. It means who led black solidarity. So the meeting was summoned by Henry Sylvester or William from the West Indies. It was this conference that Dr. Du Bois or William Du Bois was introduced, and he came to dominate the movement for almost half of the century. It means that it was during that conference or congress when Dr. William Du Bois was introduced and became to dominate the movement for almost half century. The objectives or the objects of the Congress included the following. The objectives, not objects, sorry, objectives. Objectives of the conference or of the Congress were as follows. The first one was to provide a forum for people of African origin to protest against European exploitation and oppression. It means the things which were discussed during the conference was to provide a forum or a platform for African origin, for people of African origin to protest or to fight against European exploitation and oppression. But the second one was to bring all people of African origin into closer relationship. It means to unite or to cross or to relate the Africans closely. This was so crucial in the struggle for their fundamental rights, means that the joining or the uniting the Africans close, it means was easy for them to fight or to struggle for their fundamental rights which were denied by the whites. But the another one was to appeal to the people to end the colonization and exploitation of the African people. It means that the another was to appeal to the people to end the colonization and the exploitation of the African people. And the last one was the conference. This conference was able to lay the foundation for future solidarity of all people of African origin, and it planted the spirit of oneness of Africans all over the world. It means that this conference was able to lay the foundation for future solidarity among the Africans, among all people of African origin, and to plant the spirit of oneness among the Africans all over the world. This was the conference number 1. The conference number 2 was the Paris Conference of 1919. This was the Paris Conference of 1919. This was the second Pan-African movement which was held in Paris. It means that it took place in Paris, in Italy. This conference was chaired by William Du Bois. This conference took place at a time when the Paris Peace Conference was taking place. It means that it took place when the Paris Peace Conference was taking place. This was the conference which was signed after the First World War. It means that this was the conference which was signed after the First World War. In this conference, the following points were made. Let us see the points or issues that were made. The first one was the members recommended that an international law should be formed to protect the Africans. It means that the members who attended that conference suggested that the members, it means that they supposedly that international law should be made or established in order to protect the Africans from the denial of their fundamental rights. But the Africans should be granted the right to education. It means the Africans should get the right to get education. The last one was the conference also supported the abolition of slave trade and the capital punishment. It means that another point that was discussed was to support the abolition of slave trade and the capital punishment. Or that was not capital, corporal punishment. Corporal punishment. Corporal punishments that was given or provided to the Africans. That was conference number 2. The third conference that was took on the Pan-Africanism movement was the London Conference of 1921. It means that this was the third conference that was held in 3 sessions. It means that conference was held in 3 sessions. That is in London, Brussels, and Paris. It means that it took place in 3 areas: in London, England, Brussels, and Paris. The conference emphasized the need to form political parties and the need for international harmony. It means that the main discussions of the conference was to emphasize in political parties, formation of political parties, and the need for international harmony. In 1944, the first conference It was the Pan-African Congress that was the first one, and it was held in London and Lisbon in 1923. It means that the first conference of Pan-African movement was held in London and Lisbon in that year, in 1923. The members in this Congress maintained that the Africans should have a right to self-government. It means that the main theme that was discussed during that conference or congress that was held in London and Lisbon in 1923 was to discuss about the Africans to have the right of self-government or self-rule. So that was some conferences which were held under the Pan-African movement. So after that, I would like to wind up there, but before I leave the class, I would like to give you some questions which you have to ask yourself and to come up with answers. The first question is, explain the aims of Pan-Africanism movement. And the second one is, analyze the contributions of Black solidarity to the rise of African nationalism. It means that analyze the contributions of Black solidarity to the rise of African nationalism in the 1960s. So these are the questions. Until there, I would like to wind up, and I thank you for being with me together until the end. Thank you. Let us meet in the next session.